Hello, everyone. My name is Gothic Cowplants, and welcome back to Pleasant View. Today, we are not actually playing any of the families. We are doing something a little bit different and renovating Don Lothario's condo. Um, as I've said in all of my gameplay videos, I want to renovate all of the households in Pleasant View and maybe even some of the community lots. And I thought since Dawn is the first household that we played, it would be most appropriate to start with his condo. So I went ahead and renovated his house. I did cheat to give myself all the money that I would need, just because I want my Sims to have nice furnished homes. So I did cheat, but I will take away all of the extra money that he has currently and give him, I don't know, probably like 900 simoleons to start with. But yeah, I tried to go with more of a modern, almost kind of Mediterranean vibe for Don's condo. I don't know. I mean, I think I did a pretty decent job, but I don't know how well I really pulled it off. It I think it all comes together pretty nicely in the end, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely a struggle sometimes trying to find exactly what you're looking for when you're building, especially in The Sims 2. Because, I mean, this game is so old. It came out like 20 years ago and then hasn't been updated since like 2008. So, I mean, it's pretty behind in terms of decor and fashion and all of that. But with the help of custom content, a lot of custom content, I managed to, I think, make a pretty decent home for Dawn. And right here, this is not the furniture that I'm choosing. I'm just placing down furniture so that I can kind of see where everything will go eventually. So I promise we're not keeping that awful table and chairs. And then here, I was struggling to find what windows and doors I wanted to put down because I have the Torix, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it's a build set from Mod The Sims. It's a pretty popular one, so a lot of you have probably heard of it. But I thought I had downloaded all of the parts to that set, but apparently I hadn't, so I was like kind of scrambling trying to look for the windows and doors that I wanted when it turned out I didn't even have all of them to begin with. So yeah, there are some parts where I have to pause and like leave and go download some better custom content and then come back. Um, so this renovation took me like, I don't know, probably a day and a half, 2 days to complete. But I do also just, I'm very indecisive when I'm building and I work really slow. Um, but that's another thing I struggled with is kind of trying to find like decor for outside. I wanted to put shutters on these windows, but I couldn't find any that I liked. And then obviously in The Sims 2 and The Sims 3, and even in The Sims 4 for like the first couple years that it was out, placing windows and doors is kind of challenging because they have to be on like a very specific grid. So like if you've got a 3 tile wall and you want to put a double door there, you're kind of screwed because it is not going to go in the center. It has to go on either side. So that also is something that was kind of challenging, but like I said, in the end, I think I did a pretty okay job of, furnishing this house the way I wanted it to look. But yeah, with this Torox build collection. It comes with really nice doors too, but as you can see, the wall that I have the front door on is on a diagonal, and whenever I tried to put the doors that came with this set on that diagonal, they got like really weird and stretched out. So I ended up having to use a different door. I think that's from the Honeywell build collection. Or no, I think it's the bespoke build collection by Honeywell. I think that's what it is. Um, which I think it matches close enough. I think it looks pretty good. And then throughout this house originally, I wanted to use these like kind of terracotta tiles, but I ended up not really being able to make them work with the color scheme I was trying to go with. So those do end up changing, but it was it was a good idea while I had it. Another thing I wanted to mention is that this is the first speed build I've ever done. And I really didn't know how much I should, speed it up. I ended up doing like 5 times the original speed. Originally I had it a little bit slower, but then the video was gonna be like 48 minutes long, and I mean, this is not even that big of a house, so I was kinda worried about what other builds down the line, how long they would be. So I put it on 5 times speed, and I think it's fine, but definitely let me know if this is too fast, and I can, change it in the future. We can do something slower. But here I am working on the living room right now, and I wanted so badly to use these kinda dark teal colored walls, um, and I did end up using them in the end, but it was definitely a struggle to try and make everything work, especially because originally I was trying to use these orange terracotta tiles, and right now I have this, like, blue painted brick backsplash or not backsplash, accent wall over there, and it does not look that good, so don't worry because that does change. And here I'm trying to also make these couches work. Well, these are in-game couches, but those couches that I had just been using, those are conversions from the Sims 4 base game. And I wanted to make them work because I downloaded that set, and there's that coffee table that's from the set too. But I downloaded that set specifically for this house because I thought that maybe they could look nice for Dawn. But I didn't end up using them. They're still really nice though, so I'm sure I'll use them in another house down the line. But I ended up going with these kind of black, like plasticky, there you go. Those are the couches that I ended up going with in the end because they look kind of just like cheap bachelor pad furniture. Um, and then I went with that coffee table that's actually pretty expensive, but I wasn't worried about price or anything like that because, like I said, I cheated and gave Don all the money that he needs for this house. And then I cut it out of the video, but originally here I spent like probably 15 minutes real time of just trying to find a floor to use because I had those like terracotta tiles that I was desperately trying to make work. And in the end, I just couldn't. I just had to give up because they were just clashing with everything. And then here I'm trying to get like a nice green color for the curtains, but I couldn't end up finding anything. So I just went with plain black. And I think it worked out in the end. I think they look pretty nice. And here I'm putting a little lamp in the corner. Um, there are these brief moments where, like, I'll pause for or where the speed build will pause for a second because I was watching, like, a bunch of different YouTube videos while I was building this, and I had to, like, periodically switch to another one, so that's what that is me trying to find another YouTube video to watch. And I also like, you'll see periodically, there will be, like, a little cut in the video, and then I'll come back to it, and there will be, like, a lot more items in my build by catalog because I was doing this build in increments and going and downloading a bunch of custom content that I thought might look nice. One thing that The Sims 2 I think is lacking a lot is, like, clutter. So, luckily, there's still an amazing community of custom content creators who convert stuff from The Sims 4 and, I mean, other games too, even, all the time. So, I was able to get a lot of really nice stuff to clutter up Dawn's house and all the other houses in Pleasant View. And then here, I'm trying to place a computer right here by this front door. And I haven't play tested this, so I don't actually know if it's gonna let me, or if it's gonna let Dawn rather, use this. If it doesn't, then I'll figure something else out, but hopefully it does. I mean, it should work. I don't see why it wouldn't, but I mean, Sims can be kind of weird about stuff like that. I don't think that chair ends up like pushing into the desk, so that might be a problem, but I'll figure that out off camera. And then here, I wanted to try and squeeze in some sort of stereo. Originally, I had that little vinyl player that is also a conversion from The Sims 4, but then I decided to go with just that base game one because I don't know, I don't think Dawn would be particularly into, like, cool retro stuff like vinyls. Um, but I do try to keep this, like, terracotta tile in the kitchen, like, at least, because, I mean, I wanted it kinda all throughout the house, but that didn't end up working out. So I wanted to at least keep it in the kitchen. But then when I furnished the kitchen, I realized that didn't look so great, so that the tiles change in here as well. But I keep them for kind of a while. I think that's one of the last things I change in this area of the house. And then here I'm searching for counters. I end up going with, I think, custom counters by, I think, Buggy Boos, I believe. And they're really nice because these counters that are in game, these are like 700, 800 simoleons each, which I mean, again, price is not really an object for this build, but I do think that I mean, $800 like per counter is really excessive. And for some reason, I made Don's kitchen like really big. So, I mean, that was just a whole lot of money to spend just on counters and his bills, like, probably would have been insane. Are bills in The Sims 2? I don't know if bills are based off of like how much you use your utilities or just like how much the stuff in your house is worth, or maybe it's a combination of the two. I don't know. In The Sims 4, I think it's like how much you're using utilities combined with like the value of the furniture and everything in your house, which makes it pretty challenging to be able to pay your bills. But I mean, they've got to have something in The Sims 4 that's challenging, so I do kind of like the way they do bills. Um, but here I am placing some custom content cabinets overhead. Um, there aren't any cabinets in base game or just vanilla Sims 2, which I think is really, really odd because I mean, they worked on this game for like what, 5 years? It was like 2004 to 2008 or 2009 when The Sims 3 came out. And not once did anybody ever think of adding cabinets, even though they literally released a stuff pack that was like kitchen and bath. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know who was making that decision. That's not my business. But I mean, you can find custom cabinets pretty easily. And then I was trying to fit a bar in the kitchen, but I ended up putting it in the little dining area over there because I think it looks better. But Dawn's kitchen, I don't know how it ended up being so big, but I mean, he has a very, very spacious kitchen. Honestly, it's a little bit ridiculous because this house is like one bedroom, one bathroom. And it's not even really like one bedroom. I think it's just kind of more of a, well, no, I guess it is a bedroom because I put a door up there. But yeah, the kitchen's a little ridiculous, but I mean, I guess that's kind of a nice thing. And also, I do think it's kind of unrealistic that Don would have like a place this nice because I mean, he is very sloppy and just kind of gross. And he's like a young single guy, so he doesn't have like all the money in the world, but we're just gonna have to suspend disbelief because I want Don to have like a nice little bachelor pad. And what he had before was just not, that just wasn't working. That just was not gonna work. So here I am giving him his little dining room. I have, or I downloaded like a couple custom rugs um, for this build specifically, and then obviously I can use them later on too. But finding like custom rugs in The Sims 2 is it's kind of challenging. Like unless you stumble across one, well, when you're just like looking for other custom content, they're kind of hard to come across. So I did struggle a little bit with finding some rugs, but I ended up having like just enough that I could make this house look pretty nice. And here I'm trying to put an island, and I end up going with this little like table type island. Um, because like I said, Dawn's kitchen is just so enormously big that it was so empty in there without like anything in the center. He should still be able to use, I mean, I don't see why he wouldn't be able to use that oven, but again, Sims can be complicated and sometimes they, create problems that don't really need to be created. So I guess we'll see if he can even access that oven, and if he can't, then I'll scooch the um, island over a little bit. And then here I was trying for like 10 minutes real time to find like some kind of hutch to put against the wall. But I ended up going with like that kind of weird shelf thing because I mean, what single like 24-year-old guy has like a china hutch, you know? I just don't think that's something Don would really have in his house. So I end up going with this little shelf and I put like some food stuff on this. I guess it's kind of like a makeshift pantry almost. So I threw some cereal boxes up there and just some like pots and pans. Um, and it took me way too long to do, but I think it looks okay in the end. Yeah, I hope you guys are liking this build so far. Um, I am planning on doing all of the other houses, or not all of the other houses, but all of the other houses that are lived in Pleasant View. I'm working on the Goth Mansion right now. But we'll knock Dawn's condo out of the way, and then I'll probably just do it in order of like all the households I play. So we'll do the Goth mansion, and then the Caliente sisters, and so on and so forth. But there is another Sims 4 conversion right there, that painting. Like I said, thank God for the custom content creators, because without them, it would have it would have been substantially more difficult to build this house. And then here, I wanted to find, I know in The Sims 3 and in The Sims 4, there's a lot more like decor that kind of looks like it would belong in a bar, like, stuff like that. But all I could find was that like rack of, I don't know, wine, I guess. Which I don't think Don would. Well, maybe he would, because he's trying to like. I mean, he is a romance sim, but I don't see Don, just having a whole bunch of wine. I see him kind of being more the type to just have a bunch of like cheap beer. But here I am working on Don's bathroom. I made it quite a bit smaller so that I could fit everything I wanted to in the living room correctly. And I was trying to find a little rug, like a little bath mat, but I ended up putting those like little clothes down instead, because Dawn is so sloppy, and figured that fit him better than a rug would anyway. And then here I'm trying to find like a nice tile. I end up going with just those plain black tiles, and then I do end up changing the floor tile as well, even though I really wanted to keep the like terracotta somewhere in the house. It just did not end up working out. But it is, I mean, it's outside, like on the deck and on the roof and everything. So I haven't lost out on that completely. And then here I'm just putting some nice paintings on the wall. I put a lot of these like kind of sports paraphernalia stuff around the house. Or not a lot. I've got like one or two things, but I did put some of that around the house because Don is into fitness. So he's got like decor on his walls that he's actually interested in. Like that one right there above the little stereo is like a car poster or something like that. And then moving on upstairs to the last part of the inside of the house, Dawn's bedroom. I ended up walling off that staircase because, I mean, it leads up to the roof, and, in the wintertime, I mean, that's just going to get cold because there's no, like, door outside. It just leads directly outside. So I walled that in, and then ended up putting a little bed over here in the corner. And I struggled for a while to find like a bed that I wanted for Dawn. I end up just going with like a plain black bed from, I think, the IKEA stuff pack. But I recently downloaded, I think it's by Platinum Aspiration on Tumblr. I recently downloaded like all of the Sims 4 beds converted to the Sims 2. So I've got all of the beds, or most of the beds, and a lot of the bedding as well. So if any of you are looking for some new bedding to download, I would recommend downloading that. And Platinum Aspiration, they make like a bunch of other really neat stuff too. But yeah, I was looking through all of the beds trying to find something that matched, and I ended up just going with this plain one. And then the side tables weren't really sitting exactly where I wanted them to, but he should still be able to get in bed with the side tables that close, so it shouldn't be an issue. And I also was struggling to find a lamp that I liked. I ended up going with these little gray ones right here. I don't, I mean, I'm not just crazy about them, but I couldn't really find anything better. But yeah, here I am going through the what feels like hundreds and hundreds of pages worth of bedding that I have, and then end up choosing this bedding. I don't know exactly where I got this. I think it was probably off of Mod The Sims or something. At least that's what I can remember. And then I'm looking for a painting to put above Dawn's bed. I was thinking about putting windows up there, but I didn't really want to put the bed under windows because I think that's like bad feng shui or something. And I just honestly I don't like how it looks, but I wanted to find like a painting of a woman or something because you'll probably remember originally in Dawn's house he has like all these paintings of women in his bedroom. And I end up putting them on this wall right here. Um, but yeah, that's not something that I really wanted to get rid of because I mean Dawn's just nasty. I put some windows here and copied the same curtains from downstairs. And I also put little blinds in the windows. Um, they don't fit exactly right, but I don't think, I mean, you can't really notice it. And then here I'm struggling to find a dresser that I wanted. I was kind of debating going for that like tall dresser, but I didn't like that it was white on the front. And that dresser right there is the one that like actually matches the bed frame and the side tables I chose, but it was too tiny. I didn't think it really fit well. So I ended up going with this dresser that is also custom content. And then I put more Sims 4 um, conversions on top, just like um, a little hat and some shoes. And then I put a lamp in this corner here. And I put that little mirror above Dawn's dresser. And then I also put a mirror in the corner over there. You'll see in a minute. But I really like that little mirror above Dawn's dresser. I think it's really nice. And that just comes in The Sims 2, so that's a really nice one. And then here I chose like longer blinds because I mean, if you're gonna have like blinds anywhere in the house, you'd probably have them in, you know, your bedroom or bathroom or something. And I put this little mirror over here, like I said. That one is just one that came with the game as well, and I think it looks pretty nice. And then I was searching for something to put on this wall, and I end up going with like these little, what do you call them? I don't know, little paddles. I don't know exactly what they're called, like the fraternity type thing. I think it's like a fraternity type thing. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Who knows? And then I put more clothes like all over the floor. Um, and I actually did utilize like a bunch of stuff like from the game more so than I thought I would. I thought that I would mostly just be like using custom content, but I try to, you know, at least somewhat embrace some of the more questionable design choices that they made back in the day, as much as I can. I mean, I am redoing like all of the houses and everything. And then I tried to put that like romantic aspiration reward hot tub up there, but I just didn't think it really fit with the vibe enough, so I ended up changing it out and put the little lounge chairs up here on the roof with like some nice candles in between them so that Dawn and whoever he has over for the night can come upstairs and relax. And then I wanted to put kind of like a big, like potted palm tree or something in that corner, but I couldn't really find one. So I ended up just going with um, one of the smaller like indoor plants, and I'm not crazy about it, but I mean it's not It doesn't look bad. I go with that one right there in, like, the blue pot, which the fact that that plant right there only has a blue pot drives me crazy because, I mean, you just can't really use it as much as you'd like to be able to. But I also put I put 2 bars and then, like, the juice keg, in this house because, I mean, I figured Dawn probably would do quite a bit of partying. And then I put a little table for 2 out on this lower deck. I don't know if it's functional because I'm not sure if they can sit, like, on a at a table that's on a diagonal like that, but I put that out there just in case they can, and honestly, even if they can't, I'm probably gonna leave it because I think it looks nice. And then right here, I put these little, what do you call them? Like, trellises, with the ivy on them. I put those out front because I didn't like that weird gap, like, between all these big windows where there's just nothing. So I put those there, and I think it looks pretty nice. And then as you can see, I just had to, like, scoot Dawn out of the way, um, to place this fence down and do some landscaping. But we're actually nearing the end of the video and getting into the screenshots of the renovations, so I'm gonna go ahead and say goodbye right here. So thank you all so very much for watching. I appreciate you all very much. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing to my channel for more content like this, as well as some gameplay videos. And please leave a like on this video and comment down below, your thoughts or, just whatever you want to say. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys next time. Goodbye, everybody.